You're listening to LA40 with Katerina Cozias, only on LA Talk Radio.
So if you're watching us today, you're going to see that you're here with the ladies in blue.
Hi.
And no, we did not get the same memo, but we're vibing on the same level, I think, which is why we both showed up as brunettes in blue today. Good morning, and welcome back to LA40. I'm your host, Katerina Cozias, and you are tuning into LA Talk Radio, which is one of the best internet stations in the country. Yes, we are officially ranked by third-party press, so that's kind of fun.
Fabulous.
Fabulous. I am your host, Katerina, and as always, we're going to give it a minute because we are streaming not only via the LA Talk Radio platform, but also via Facebook lately. So I'm just going to give it a minute to let some of our Facebook livers jump on. And we're going to get straight into things today on LA40 because I have the world's most expensive dress designer, and she has done it twice. So Debbie Wingham, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so excited to have you. You are here originally from England. I think everyone just heard your accent.
That's right, yeah. It's a bit of a giveaway.
It's a bit of a giveaway. Where are you from? But you're here in Los Angeles, in Beverly Hills, and we're so gracious to come and do our show today. Excited to have you.
Oh, I'm excited to be here. And actually, I started my career out here, really.
You started your career in LA?
Yeah,
Okay.
in LA. Well, no, technically, I started it when I was at school.
Okay.
Back in North England. But realistically, I got my first break and started to get celebrity clients. And it was my first proper show. I did it at the Chateau Marmont, actually, 9 years ago this week. Would you believe it?
So it's your anniversary.
Woo! Anniversary of the beginning of my career.
You know, Debbie is on the program for a couple of reasons. One, because she just has a new book that's come out. We're going to get to that in just a minute. But two, because hers is, you know, it ties back into what I want to do with the show, which is add a little bit of motivation and inspiration in for people who may be wanting to make a change in life but don't know how to get past their current circumstance. And yours is really a rags to riches type of story.
Yeah.
And you moved yourself from somewhere, you know, and I want you to go into all of it for us. But for you at home tuning in or for you listening, Debbie's story is really great because we think we're confined a lot of times by things outside our control.
Definitely.
And you are a testament to the fact that if you put your mind to something and you have a vision for self and you have a belief in self and you probably worked bloody hard.
Very, very hard, yeah.
But you can move yourself. So I'm just going to put it into your court and have you
Sure.
tell us a little bit about even going back from the 9 years where you started at Chateau Marmont, doing your first show in Los Angeles at Chateau Marmont 10 years ago almost, was massive, I'm sure, for you.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And it was interesting how I ended up over in LA because literally I was in what I call the hamster wheel of fashion.
Okay.
Because unless you get a stockist or a celebrity, then you don't get one or the other, and you just end up in this nasty little
What's a
hamster wheel.
stockist?
A stockist is a store that's going to take your
Oh,
collection.
to stock your goods.
Exactly. So
Oh.
it's a vicious circle because
Right.
the main stores, they want you to have top celebrity clients rocking your outfits.
But you
we
can't
all
get
want,
that
we all want
until you're in a
those.
store. Right, exactly.
And I got really, really sick of it.
Yeah.
And loads of people said, you know what, your dresses are very red carpet, you're very red carpet inspired.
Sure.
And I just thought, I'm going to go to the home of the red carpet. And one day I just packed up everything.
And came to Los
packed
Angeles?
my whole collection up
Oh,
and moved to Los Angeles.
I'm going to pause you right there because I want you to take us back even further. And then we're going to come back into that because...
From this part, from the coal dust part.
From
so
the
you can know where I
coal
came
dust
from.
to diamond. So you're from a town, northern England.
That's
what
right,
was
yeah.
literally a coal mining town?
Yeah, I'm probably one of the few coal miners' daughters left, I'd say.
You're really
it's quite
a coal
an accolade.
miner's daughter.
Yes, I am. So I'm a coal miner's daughter.
Wow.
I'm from South Yorkshire. You guys probably never heard of that. But that's where I'm from, a very small town, and everyone sort of...
Not glamorous, I'm guessing, in, South Yorkshire.
Well, there is parts that are very glamorous.
Fair enough.
But for the most part, it's a very sort of humble place. And the people are wonderful. They're very friendly and happy-go-lucky.
Shout out.
But exactly, hey, woo, to Yorkshire. Woo, woo, woo. Because I'm still very proud to be a Yorkshire lass. It's not like I wanted to change everything that I was. But it just wasn't, say, a pioneering place for becoming a haute couturier, for example.
Wait, did you always have fashion as something you wanted to move into? Like, was that a passion for you as a little girl?
Yeah, I mean, fashion for me was everything. I mean, literally, my mum still now has a pile like this high of like the drawings I used to do. And literally, my mum was a self-taught dressmaker. And I used to draw things for her and go and get the fabric, and she would make it. And it came to one point, and I did the same thing and got the fabric, and I said, Mum, can you make this for me? And she said, actually, no, I can't. And to my horror, I was like, what do you mean you can't? Make it? She's like, you are this time. Because I used to sit with her and do all the things.
Wow.
And then that was it.
So she just kind of said jump. Now, I just want to interject for a moment, and I don't want you to tune out, because Debbie's going to tell us how she went from, making this first dress as a little girl to designing the world's most expensive dress, as I mentioned, twice. The top one, I think, was billed at $17 million. The value? I've done 3 world's most expensive. The most expensive thing that I did was closer to the $70 million was actually a cake. But we'll get onto that soon. Okay. So we moved from couturist to cakeist. Couture cakes. Yeah. But here you are. You're 9. How
Still
old
in fashion. So literally,
8, 9.
Yeah. And by the time I was 11, I would make garments for what we call back in the UK like the sixth formers. So the older kids that would sort of have a bit of a social life.
What did you call it? The sixth former?
Yeah, we call them sixth formers.
Okay.
So they're the
they
kids
were just the cooler older kids?
Yeah, they're the older kids. I'm 11, so I'm like the youngest one. But I'm 6 foot tall, and I've always been larger than life and taller than most of them anyway. So they couldn't miss me. You kind of
hang with them a little bit.
But I don't know about that. But I started to become more cool when I started making their outfits. I sometimes wonder, like, could you imagine if they still had like some of my pieces now? Wow. Because that would be like Debbie Wingham vintage. It might even be worth some money, girl. Hopefully one of those garments stayed all stitched up and is still looking fabulous.
If somebody has a Debbie Wingham garment from back in the day, let us know. Call in and actually dial in if you have to. If you would like to join the conversation, right? Because it is a dial-in show. Call us. We'd love to chit-chat with you. The number is 818-570-5085. 818-570-5085. That's a +1 if you're dialing from outside the USA. And I'm here with Debbie Wingham, designer of the world's most expensive, 3 most expensive items in the world. You are in the World Book of Records for having done this. That's right, yeah. So here you are, you're 11 years old, you're designing for the cool older kids, okay?
Yeah, so that's what we got. And I'll do the next part in shorthand, so I won't go on too much about that. But effectively, it was my passion, it's what I always wanted to do. As soon as I was old enough, I said to my mum, I'm going to leave South Yorkshire, I'm going to move to London because that's where fashion's at.
That's where you go, right?
And I knew
how far away just geographically so we can help people understand is South Yorkshire from London? Like 3 hours, 4-hour drive?
It's about 4.5 hours. So it's quite a way. And actually, although it doesn't seem that far, because you guys in the US, you're enormous compared to us. This is UK. We're a tiny little speck, and you guys are the show-offs. You've got all this space. But that's still quite a big distance in the UK, sort of 4.5 hours.
And probably a big distance even in terms of people and their lifestyles. Because London is, one of the premier cities in the world, right?
Sure, but it's like anywhere, any other city, that we've got very cool cities up north as well, and every area is totally different, just like LA, just like anywhere.
LA versus Chicago versus Miami, right.
Yeah, but it was a bit of a shock when I came from Yorkshire and I moved to London.
So you're how old now, about 17?
I moved to London actually when I was 18.
Did you go to study in London?
I never actually studied fashion.
Oh, wow.
I never went into higher education. I sort of pretty much learned in the field, how to sort of business and everything. And don't get me wrong, I made a lot of mistakes, and I probably could have benefited from higher education. But it just wasn't the path that I chose. And I've made lots of very expensive mistakes, but those ones you learn from and you never forget, and you will never ever make them again. And once bitten, twice shy, people. So that doesn't matter what industry you work in, just literally there's nothing like sort of learning out on the field.
Yeah, and the thing is, on the field is where you learn what not to do, what to do. But as you say, you don't really look at them as failures. You just look at them as
lessons.
Lessons, right. Yeah, that's the perfect word, right?
Yeah, it is. So I ended up in London. And I used to do all the cool markets. I'm sure you guys have probably heard of places like Portobello Market, and we have a film called Spitalfields, and it's basically where all the sort of cool designers are.
And you're talking outdoor markets, like
exactly,
little
not glamorous, not haute couture at this point, darling.
Right.
No, I started off kind of doing like customizing.
You do like the farmers market on the weekends, that sort of
basically hustling, And while I was doing that, I also had I did lots of other jobs alongside in order to be able to support my passion, because I couldn't afford to save up much money, and I moved from Yorkshire, and I remember.
And I'm sure London was incredibly expensive in contrast.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Literally.
That's what happens when you move to a big city.
Literally,
You're like, what?
I was like, everything was so overwhelming. But I just knew it's where I needed to be, so I thought, I'm going to make this happen.
Figure it out.
Get it done.
Right. So what were some of the other odd jobs that you were taking?
I used to do kind of a lot of promotional jobs.
Okay.
Because I'm very tall, and I never shut up. You might have noticed. I talk a lot, so I'm kind of a good brand ambassador.
So I was going to say, stand there and say, buy this product.
Lots of those kind of things, and it's great because you could do those all hours and around. Sewing, trying to sell, trying to build up contacts, work on that lovely black book that we all went overheaving
little
like
Rolodex,
that. But it started off like this thin initially, so it takes a while to get it up to par. So I basically hustled, worked my little tush off. And I got to a point where we got sick of being cold and being out in the markets, and I had quite a good network of designer friends, and we were all emerging together, and I was like, do you know what, let's all chip in, we're going to get a store. Let's get a store, we'll all have little concessions in there. I said, I know you guys don't like to be tied down, I'll sew from there, I'll sell everybody's stuff.
Okay, I'll kind of be the
I'll be the
face of
I'll
the
do
store,
it.
right? Okay, amazing.
And so that's what I did. It was good because I was warm, which was woo.
You weren't out in the cold or in the rain waiting for someone to come by.
And North England as well, it is cold, so it's even.
That's funny because when you said cold earlier, I didn't think you meant literally physically cold. I was thinking cold as in just sort of standoffish, right?
No, I mean
you meant like freezing.
I mean like
literally hustling in the
streets. My dress, is the skin.
Right, hilarious.
So yes, literally very cold. We got over that. Did that for a couple of years, and just basically trying to build up contacts.
Right.
You want to get these celebrity stylists, all these things, and eventually I made the jump from where I was, which was in Hoxton, which is extremely chic now, and it was fairly up and coming then. But my style started to change. Basically, I got into dresses when a socialite came to the store, and she liked a skirt I did, and she liked the top, and she's like, why don't you make dresses? You don't seem to make dresses. Can you make me a dress? And I was like, if you're paying, I can do whatever you want, love.
Right.
Within reason.
I was going to say entrepreneurial mind, right?
But I thought, of course, of course I can merge the two. Teeth back in, consider it done. And I created a piece for her, and little did I know she was going to wear it to the BAFTAs. I know you guys have got all these Emmys and wonderful, fabulous
but the BAFTAs
things.
are big award ceremony in England.
And she wore it to that, and I didn't know she was even
wore
gonna.
it to that?
Yes, and I didn't know she was going to wear it.
So back up. So here you are. You've got your little store in a sort of an up-and-coming area. Was it kind of like a Soho type?
Yes.
Like New York, kind of funky, but cool?
Definitely.
Okay,
quirky.
so this woman walks in, sees your stuff, wants you to design something specifically for her that she ends up wearing to the equivalent of the Oscars almost?
Yes.
Okay.
Good, but I didn't know about it. And
but the thing that I love, though, is the fact, and sorry, I just have to interrupt you. We both chat, can you tell? Is the fact that when you're on your path, that you genuinely have a passion for, stuff will happen for you. I believe in the alignment of the universe.
Oh, definitely.
You busted your butt for it, but I believe that the universe is going to be helpful to your dreams.
Do you know if you're interested in something, you're halfway there?
Right.
I always think, okay, it might be the easy half, but still the interest is going to carry you through those days that are not so good. Because not every day is going to be sunshine and roses.
Right.
Sometimes it's going to be hard. Some people are going to tell you no, close the door in your face a couple of 100,000 times.
So did you know?
I've been rejected, let's just say that. A couple of times. Once or twice.
A couple of 100,000 times.
Yeah, only a few.
Did you know she was going to wear that dress to the BAFTA?
No,
awards?
had no idea. And
how did you find out?
Okay, the next day, one of my friends said, "Oh, didn't you make a dress for such and such?" And I was like, "Yeah, why?" She's like, "Have you not seen the newspaper?" I'm like, "No." It's like I've been working, I've been sewing. I used to literally work all day, and then I would sew till 3 or 4 in the morning to make sure that I could still produce things, and I had still enough things to sell at the markets and all these kind of stuff. Right. And
so you're not up at 8 in the morning reading the paper.
No, I sometimes just go straight through and then out to work again. Lack of sleep, but that's what passion will do for you. It'll get you through it.
Yeah.
And anyway, a top journalist. We have this show. You guys probably don't know it, but it was called Clothes Show. It's a very big show. She was the
Clothes.
Clothes show.
Okay, so it's like a fashion show?
Type
of
it was a
like
TV
a Project
show.
Runway type of
kind
show?
Of. It was a TV show. It was on when I was a kid. That doesn't exist
I'm trying
anymore.
to frame for Americans.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of Project Runway-esque, I would say, but a little bit prior to that, so maybe not quite as developed, but along those lines. And the top journalist off there had a column in one of the newspapers in the UK, and she put the best dress won to the BAFTAs was this dress. Who is this designer?
Oh my God!
And that designer was me! What? So at last, I'd worked for years, I mean, I think I was about 21 at the time. So bear in mind, it was about 3 years until I sort of got a little bit of an accolade, and then I was like, I had a bit of a whoop whoop moment.
But the thing is, I'm going to take that back a little bit, because you actually weren't working just for 3. You had been working for probably 15.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you take it back to
at like fetus age.
Right. No, but you take it back and you say like, oh, you know, people like Beyonce or people like Katy Perry were, you know, they kind of came out, but these girls were doing it from 5 years old, and so
That's
had
right.
you been.
Yeah.
You know. Okay, so wait a second. So you see your dress as, you know, the best dressed dress.
Yeah.
Did you have a heart attack?
I didn't believe it, to be honest. I didn't believe it. I was like, okay, wait a minute, and then drop the paper, run around like a crazy woman, going high-fiving myself. So it was a bit of a whoop moment.
Jesus Christ. So what happens next? What do you do next?
I found the personal assistant to this top journo.
Okay. That would be, just pausing, that would be like Oprah calling me right now and being like, I want you on my show. Yeah, very exciting moment. So call me, Oprah. No, go ahead.
Yeah, you know, she may well.
Okay, so you ring her up.
So I spoke to her personal assistant. I'm like, it's me. She's like, what do you mean it's me? Who are you? I was like, I'm the one they're talking about. I am the designer. And she's like, oh yeah, the article. Oh, it's you. Oh, that's great. So, I mean, in a way, I kind of was hoping that it was going to change my world overnight. It didn't, unfortunately, but it did help a bit, because I had a beautiful article by someone that was very respected, and it meant then that I could start speaking to other journalists and stylists and be like, but if they like my stuff, and that was my first proper dress, because I never used to do dresses back then. I did kind of more funky, edgy stuff.
Okay, like you said, a cool blouse or a cool skirt.
Exactly,
or a cool top,
yeah. And it was quite funny, because literally overnight I decided, I did this sample sale, I pretty much gave all my old stuff away, and I thought, that's it. From now on, whatever material I get from that, dresses are my forte, because someone who knows about fashion believes in me.
Wow.
So it was like a tiny thing to them. It was like nothing. It was just a throwaway comment. But to me,
Oh
it was
my
like
gosh.
life-changing.
Yes.
It was amazing. So that happened. And then, I mean, that sounds beautiful and it sounds all rosy, and it was. But, I mean, what followed, there was some very nasty things. Nasty.
And that's where we're going to jump into the book for a moment, because the book that you've written, and again, the title is From Cold Dust to Diamonds. And there's a quote here on the cover from Italian Vogue, or Vogue Italia, saying it's sort of a real-life Confessions of a Shopaholic meets Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah.
You and I were chatting offline the other day, and you told me a story, which you've recounted in the book, about one of your first attempts.
That's what I'm just about to tell you about.
And you're 21 years old. It's one of your first attempts to sort of really crack the fashion industry.
Yeah.
You got to tell this story.
Yeah, it's very soul destroying, folks, but there is a nice, but keep with it, because it gets lovely towards the end. It gets nice and rosy. Basically.
So wait, so you're 21 years old.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I had this article come out, and I thought, great, now I'm going to start hammering. By hammering, that's probably a bad choice of words. Britishness, yeah. Basically calling lots. Calling, constantly calling every day. Okay. The offices of all the top fashion journos. All of them. All the top editors. And I did it for days, for months, and I think it was about 4 or 5 months into it.
And you would just call to say, hi, my name is Debbie, I'm a designer, can you feature my stuff? What would you say?
To be honest, things along those lines, but it would have to change it up a little bit. Right. I did pretty much get on first name terms with all their personal assistants, but I don't think they liked it that much. At the end of the day, the thing is about the fashion industry and publications is they're driven by their advertisers. Okay. Their advertisers spend a lot of money, and that's why you see the repetition of the same outfits and the same looks. Even though stylists might piece them together different or put them to a different theme, ultimately they push their advertisers because they're their bread and butter. Right. They keep them going. And obviously, I'm not got this sort of money. I'm little 21-year-old.
There's 21-year-old Debbie, and then there's Chanel. Yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm still not on par with Gabrielle Chanel, but you know, I do love her. I'm working on it.
You're working on it.
I'm working on it. So literally, this one day, I just knew, I thought, one day, someone is going to actually need me. They're going to be like, a designer's dropped out, or a dress has not come in, and I've got to shoot, and I'm freaking out. And that day happened. And I knew it would, so I knew the calling would pay off eventually, although I did drive everyone mad, including myself. And basically they said, look, we need this dress for tomorrow. The only thing is, that sounded amazing, and I was like, yes, of course you do, and whatever it is, I don't care what it is, I am going to do it for you. Okay. And then she described something to me, and I'm saying, yeah. Oh yeah, I've got something like that. I'm thinking, no, I haven't. I looked at my watch, and it was 4:45, and at 5 p.m., the actual stores closed that sold my material.
Oh my God.
And it gets worse, because as if that was a problem, I didn't really have the money for the rent, let alone the fabric, if I was honest. Struggling sort of artist. I'm not condoning not paying rent. I've always have managed to pay it, but it was hard times, let's just say. And I literally spent my last penny on this fabric. And the fabric that I use is extremely expensive. It looks more like a phone number than a price. It's very long and very expensive. So anyway, by hook or by crook, I thought I'm going to get this. I'm going to get it done. So I'm thinking, get off the phone. Yes, I'm going to deliver the dress. I'll stay up all night.
I've got 15 minutes to go find the fabric.
Go. So put the phone down and then phoned a taxi quickly. Said, I need you to head to such and such fabric shop. And then put the phone down quickly to them. Rang the fabric store. I'm like, please tell me you've got the material I need. They did have it.
Okay.
So,
so you knew already what fabric you wanted.
Oh, I knew straight away.
Probably when she was describing the dress, you were already creating it in your mind.
Yeah. Oh, I knew exactly what I needed to do. Cool. It was just getting the material that was the problem. And anyway, I managed to get all that, and that was great. And I stayed up all night, but I didn't care. And you know what? I didn't even. Do you know some days when you feel like you need matchsticks on your eyes? I didn't even need that. I could just literally push through it, and I was so excited. You know, I could have burst. I was just so excited. And the dress looked really good when it was finished, and I was so pleased with it. And then I headed that morning to the actual office.
So you literally stayed up all day to make this dress?
Yeah, we stayed up all night,
all night, sorry.
Yeah, and then 8 a.m. the next day, I'm at the office of this beautiful publication. And the chief and editor's assistant came downstairs and took a bit of a look at me like as if she couldn't stand me, or as if I smelled or something like. And she said, oh, well, you know, unfortunately we managed to pull in a vintage Dior piece, so we won't be using yours. And I looked at her and I said, you know what, I can't compete with Dior. I said, but I'm just going to wait until the actual chief and ed comes downstairs, because I said, I stayed up all night. I paid every penny I have on this. Wow. I said, so I'll be damned if she can't just come down, have common courtesy, and just say,
to see it, right?
Thank you anyway. Yeah, just to say, hey, I'm so sorry.
Right.
I wasn't daft. I know I couldn't, you know, ever compete with Dior, and I didn't expect to.
Right.
And I could take it on the chin, because I thought, at least if she sees me, she understands my blood, sweat, and tears. She's going to think, good girl, I'm going to use her. So I thought, I've got to get something
some
out
sort
of
of respect for my integrity and work ethic, all of this.
Exactly.
Okay.
And also as a human being, you expect it, right?
It's
common decency,
well,
right?
Okay.
But then again, this is we did say it's like a real Devil Wears Prada story, so it is maybe human decency sometimes that goes out the window, like straight over. So anyway, I stood my ground, and the assistant looked at me and she went, do you know who the editor is? I was like, well, yeah, of course I do.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, I'm alive, aren't I? Of course I know who she is. And she said, but then you'll know that she's very firm and tough. She said, she's not going to take kindly to this. Yeah. I said, oh, well, I don't mind. I said, but I'll be waiting here until she comes down. She said, she's going to come down at some point. So I'll wait here all day. It's fine. I said, the security like me. I've been chatting with them. They fully appreciate where I'm at.
And I'm standing here in the lobby with my dress till she comes down.
Exactly. And she did come down. And I don't know if I was happy, sad, or I don't know where I was at that point by the time she came downstairs. I was a bit annoyed, but I was also a bit excited because I thought, at least she's here. It gives me 1 second. If I get one second with her.
FaceTime with her.
Exactly, because at least when you can put a name to a face,
right.
I'm not just that crazy Yorkshire girl that calls me
calling.
every day and saying, can I do something for you?
Right.
So she took one look at me, again, even more repulsed than the other girl did, like, how very dare you sort of, and she's like, oh, it was you that will have me come downstairs. I'm like, well, yeah, because I created this dress for you. It's the dress that you wanted. It met your brief.
Right.
And then I told her, I said, you know what? Because I thought, you know, everyone's got a daughter or a niece or someone that they can relate to. Maybe I can play on that better decence. Yeah, a little bit. Because sometimes you've got to do that. Yeah. And I said to her, I said, look, I said, I have barely any money. I've spent it all on this. I stayed up all night and I didn't sleep and I created it. And I just literally just wanted you to have a quick look just for a second. And she took it off me like it was in a garment bag. She took it like that, like looking really disgusted at me. Like I'm like, oh my God, it's not like a piece of poo or something really vile. It's just a garment bag with a dress inside. It's not going to jump out and hurt you or anything.
Wow.
Maybe she was worried it was going to jump on her back and she couldn't wear anything unless it was like a really established brand. But she opened the zip slightly, looked at it, and she was like, and then zipped it straight back up really quickly, and she was like, yes, it's all right. And I thought, okay. But then again, I thought, these people are firm. You've got to work on it. And then she just looked at me and she said, by the way, anyway, she said, I would just pack in if I was you, because people with your accent do not work in the luxury industry. She said, your stuff is okay. You could go and work for a big fashion house. But she said, you could never be the face of a brand because, you know, she said, your image is not too bad. You could stand to lose a couple of pounds. But overall, it's your accent. You know, this accent doesn't work in the fashion world. And she walked off.
Wow.
So I'm 21 years old.
Oh my God, with this dream that just got crushed and now really no money.
If I'd have been 91 years old, I would have still burst into tears, I think. But I didn't cry in front of her. I was still extremely strong.
Okay. I'm impressed with how strong you were to even demand the courtesy for her to come down. I mean, that goes back to, you know where it comes from? I'll tell you where I think it comes from. I think it comes from integrity to self. Yeah. And I think that's why some people make it and some people don't. Yeah. Because you have to have a sense of self-worth.
That's true.
And you have to teach people how you expect to be treated.
Yeah.
And you stood up to her and then you go outside and cry.
Exactly.
Right?
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you were devastated.
Hit around the corner and just burst out crying. And do you know what? It was that point. I remember calling my mum, and I thought I would never normally call mum to say anything because that would mean that I got to the point where I actually wanted to pack in.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I said, I've done it for like so long now, and every time I think that I get the door open, I stick the doorstop in, someone kicks the doorstop out, and the door slams in my face, and I just thought, I can't do it anymore. Did you really get to that point, that real breaking point, where you were literally, just about to pack it in? Oh yeah, I was like shaking, tears in my eyes, just really, I'd had enough, and I just thought, I don't know how I'll grow from that, because literally it's the financial strain, because as a designer you have to reinvest all the time. It's not just in reinvesting your time, it's reinvesting your money. Right. And if you want your pieces to look good, then you better be paying some good money for those outfits and those endowments and everything else. So it's a very expensive industry to be in, and also I'm living in London. I still need to eat. Right. Bear in mind, she already told me I needed to lose some weight, so probably I should have eaten slightly less, according to her. But that's another thing. I don't really get into the whole. I am really tall. A lot of people are like, oh, you're like a fashion model.
Fashion model. She's very nice and tall.
But I like that. I've never changed that, and I never let the fashion industry decree what I should or shouldn't do, or how I should look. I'm just doing me. I don't know how to be anybody else, And
it goes back to being you and the authenticity. But I think we have to highlight, especially for the viewers that maybe not be from England and not be as aware of the reality of the class system over there.
Yeah.
Where, we think, okay, there's a little bit of a hierarchy in terms of your socioeconomic status here.
Yeah.
But there it's very prevalent, right?
Yeah, very much so.
So she's basically saying to you, you're coming with some honky accent into London, it's not going to happen for you.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much that was that.
So you called your mom, what did mom say?
Well, my mom was just like, just pack everything in and come home. That would have been not her dream, because she wants to get me home, but she wants me to have what I want. So I wouldn't say it was her dream, but she wanted to give me a cuddle and she couldn't.
Yes, and I think parents, their natural tendency is to keep you from being hurt.
Yeah, of
right.
course.
So for her,
I'm a parent now myself, so definitely I can say,
right.
yeah, for sure.
So what did you say when mom said come home?
I said to her, but I need to tie up some loose ends, because I've still had the shop with the other girls and the guys, and I was like, I can't just dump all that off, and I need to go and do everything properly. So I was extremely deflated. I remember that night that I just cried a lot. Think of a lot and then double it and then triple it, and that's probably how much I cried. So it was a lot of tears, we're talking. And the next day, it's very strange because I don't often listen to my voice message. I've always been sort of a email, text message kind of person. Right. And for some reason I decided to listen to a voicemail, and I had a voicemail in a very not so very nice voice, but a very familiar voice, a very cruel voice, and there it was. It was the editor of the magazine.
She phoned you?
Yeah.
She left you a message?
She left me a message, and she said, I see a bit of myself in you. She said, I do stand by my the whole northern accent thing, but she said, if you really must, then you can come and bring 8 of your outfits and leave them in my showroom for 6 months, and then I may or may not use them in a publication. And I thought, woohoo! Right. In a way, she's in a very nice way. It's the whole Devil Wears Prada moment.
Apologizing
She's kind of saying you're actually all right, and maybe I was a bit hard on you. And she probably also she thought I was probably a bit bolshy to actually be able to stand my ground.
She probably I was going to say, as a businesswoman, she probably respected your oomph.
Exactly, and the fact that she never saw me fall to pieces, she might not have respected me quite so much then. But I managed to hold it strong when I needed to. And
okay, so you get this call, so 8 pieces, that's amazing.
Yeah, so it was, but it wasn't, because to me, 8 pieces was like my lifeline. They were like, I didn't have kids back then, they were my children, because I couldn't really afford to make another 8 pieces, and you always need to have some samples ready for stylists at phone. Imagine, you've been ringing people for years and years, and then someone finally rings you and you're like, actually, I gave all my samples out. Right. Okay, why did you do that, Debbie? You idiot. So
what do you do then?
Well, I did it. I thought I have to, because I thought I went through hell, and I thought I'd give it one last shot. So I told myself, pick yourself up for the 9 millionth time, brush your shoulders off, and forearms and just get it done. So I took the pieces down there, and 6 months later they did use 4 of the dresses.
In the magazine?
Yes,
wow.
in the magazine, and they styled them in different looks, and that was in a way, I guess, well, that was a great moment. And what's better about this story is much further down the line, like way further down the line. Obviously, I go to a lot of sort of fashion networking and fashion shows and things, and people kind of sort of now know who I am. And she came up to me and she said, "Oh, I was wrong about you, but I was right in other ways as well." And she said, "I bet you're glad that I gave you that incentive." And I was like, "Yeah, I was delighted." Do you know what? It wasn't anything I did. It was all about you. You changed my life. Yeah, you did all the work. You know, you did.
She's probably friends with Donald Trump.
But anyway, so that was that. But it gets even better still. And she said, "Do you know, I was thinking that I might have even worn one of your pieces to the next event I'm going to." And I said, "Darling, you could never wear a dress designed by a Yorkshire girl. It's just against your whole ethos." And I just walked off. It's like, goodbye. Yeah, it's like, I don't care who you are. I will never forget that.
Wow.
But that was a very empowering moment, and it felt, do you know what? I'm not normally a catty person or a tit for tat.
Right.
I try and give out just really positive energy, and if people are nasty, just leave them to it, step away. But that was so, I had to. I had to. It was one of those scratches that if you didn't itch,
wow, it would just, yeah, you'd be 90 thinking, why didn't I take that moment?
Too much.
Tell her to shove it, basically.
So that was that, and that was an amazing moment. But the book has a lot of those moments in there. You know, there's been lots of times where I've been on the rug standing thinking, yeah, I've got this now. I've got a TV show, or I've got this going on, or I've got this. I'm an editor for this magazine or whatever, and then the rug gets pulled you from underneath you. But there's lots of that.
So how did you go from that? So you started to become an established designer, and if you're just tuning in, we're here with Debbie Wingham. She is one of England's top designers. She has designed the 3 most expensive items ever designed in the world. 2 of them dresses, one of them a $50 million cake. And I want to jump into how you got into cakes in a minute.
Yeah.
But she actually brought some pieces from the black diamond dress.
I did.
Okay, so this is part of the shoulder piece?
Yeah, so this is the peplum. I mean, this is not the peplum.
This is the peplum that's over here.
Oh, jet lag.
Actually,
sorry, everyone.
But you know what? I'm going to stand up. I'm probably going to be out of frame. But I just want to show you how wonderful this black diamond peplum would look with my outfit today.
It would. Well, do you know
I
what?
may just have to walk away
I think
with
we
it.
have to try this one on you, because you are a bit of a glamorous.
Let's do it. I am a little
goddess.
glam. Let's do a little glam
Let's do
today
it.
at
So you'll feel the weight of
LA
it.
Talk Radio. Wow.
But basically, the reason why a lot of the pieces.
So what's
in
the
dress,
value of this right now that I'm wearing?
Well, this piece actually is a placebo version.
All right.
And the reason being, obviously, is because unlike what people think, I don't actually walk around with £1 million worth of diamonds in my bag. I don't sleep on diamonds. And you might think that sounds dumb. You might think it sounds dumb, but when you're in the headlines and it says Debbie Wingham, millions, diamonds, that's what people read. They don't read how. They don't read that it was basically it was. I just needed to stand out in my own right, and the reason I created the world's most expensive black diamond dress, which is the shoulder piece that you're wearing here, was because I needed a platform for myself. By this point, I'd created for a lot of big fashion houses, and my pieces were like in James Bond movies. They were on all the best shows, Sex and the City, Ugly Betty, everything, you name it, it was everywhere. But not under my name, because I've been doing a lot of non-disclosure work, creating one-off pieces for big fashion houses. And I just thought I need to do something in my own right, because I'm going to just be stuck here forever and no one's ever going to know.
So just so that I understand then, so you would basically be contracted by, let's say, I don't know, Tom Ford to design something that would have the Tom Ford label on it, and then be featured in
everything.
show.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just cool.
It is.
You were like almost like a ghostwriter.
It's kind of cool,
for
but it's not.
authors,
It's only cool for about the first 2 or 3 times,
and then you're
when
like,
you can't
I'm Debbie Wingham.
when you can't take the accolade for it, it becomes a lot less cool.
So what made you think black diamonds?
Well, actually, you might notice
I've got that they're so quite lovely.
At the time, apart from the fact that my brand was Noir by Debbie Wingham.
No, that went way too fast. What did you just say?
I talk very fast with the British accent, the northern British accent.
Repeat, please.
The fact that my brand was actually Noir by Debbie Wingham, so it means black in French.
Oh, Noir. Yes. Noir by Debbie Wingham.
Because I do, although I'm in the US right now and it's a hot country, so I'm wearing blue, but I do tend to wear a lot of black. I've got black hair.
Right.
And a very famous journal wrote that I'm like the couture version of Morticia Adams. So we are channeling all the black and the noirness.
Okay. And I see a black diamond on your finger.
So that's what got me into black diamonds. So I met my now husband And we got engaged extremely quickly, and basically that was soon after the show I did at the Chateau.
Okay.
I'd worked all my career.
Yeah, we still haven't gotten to you being in LA.
But anyway, I basically, I ended up moving to LA. We'll do that bit now as we're going through it.
Sure.
I ended up moving to LA, as I said earlier on. And when I was out here, I was basically just trying to get as many celebrity clients as possible.
Did you have any celebrity clients in the States?
Yeah, I've got lots of celebrity clients. Off the top of my head, I've dressed people like Katy Perry, Kate Winslet, Dita Von Teese, Hilary Swank, lots of people, lots of beautiful, glamorous people.
Amazing.
And
now Katerina Cozias,
main one.
By association. I have to give this back, unfortunately, when we're done here. But
I can see you rocking.
I love it.
It actually looks pretty good with that outfit.
I think it's great. Yeah,
it does.
So go on.
So basically, the show at the Chateau, it sort of started my career going. It started people getting some sort of form of interest, and I also managed to secure my first sort of diamond deal because I got Van Cleef & Arpels on Rodeo to loan me $1 million worth of
diamonds,
of jewelry to match my collection, which was amazing because at the time I was an unheard of designer.
I was going to say, who are you, right?
I was unheard of, but I'm very persuasive. They like my collection, and also the fact that I was showcasing at the Chateau Marmont, and they're very discerning sort of what they show and who they deal with. And I remember I went to the meeting with the Chateau, and they said to me, and I used to hang out there quite a lot, and I knew the people, and they were really nice, and I thought, yeah, this is in the bag, this is easy. All I need to do is have the money to pay for it. Tell me the number. Unfortunately, it wasn't that easy. They said, okay, everything goes through New York, there's a whole vetting process, and then they also told me that that the week before, a really big, I won't mention who it is, but someone that I respect anyway in the fashion world, I wanted to do a showcase there, and they were declined. And I was like, oh, poop, I don't know if I'm going to pull this one off then. So I ended up, somehow, by hook or by crook, with the Chateau Marmont, one of the coolest sort of exclusive places, and Van Cleef & Arpels as a sort of an emerging designer, which but it was aided by the fact that I had a dear friend of mine, and he did a collab with me on the collection, and he was a fabulous stylist, and he worked for a lot of amazing publications, and so he was extending his contacts. All I had to do was just go in and persuade them, show them the pieces,
and just he basically opened up his little black book to you.
And also he contributed towards the collection as well. He was a great guy, and it was an amazing way to start the career. But unfortunately, although the show was well received, it made it like in the LA Times and all sorts of things, and it went down really well, but it didn't sort of bring money. It got lots of people wanting free things, and obviously celebrities don't pay for stuff, so you've got to be willing to give stuff. So I remember being extremely out of pocket, still a little bit feeling kind of good in a way.
Right, because you're growing and you're evolving, and you've just had your first show in the USA, right?
Exactly. But it's a bit of what I would say, dare I say, a poop sandwich, because it's something good, something bad, a poop, and then something good again. Something good, something bad, something good. Yeah, so that's what it was. So
this is Debbie's version of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, right?
Exactly. In North England,
the poop one is fun. I like it.
The poop sandwich. So literally, things were going kind of good, but in a way they weren't. But I always wanted an investor, and after we did that show, I'd moved everything around. I'd got a pretty tight business plan, and someone offered me the investment. But it was more that they were more bothered about investing in, I think, just sort of me hanging out with them and things. And I didn't really like that idea much because I was trying to keep it really professional. I'm like, yeah, of course we go to networking dinners together and we'll do this, that, and the other. But we're not like going to be best buddies because it doesn't work that way. We need to keep business for business and keep things separate. And I said, you know what? Can I think about it? And I'm going to go back to England. And when I went back to England, I met Mr. Black Diamond, my beautiful husband, my dream guy.
What?
Yeah. So he basically was. His brother, and still is, was going out with one of my friends, and that's how we met. And it's so funny because both of us were like, "You're not trying to set us up, are you?"
So they were dating, and you guys just sort of came along and decided you liked each other as well.
That's it.
Wow, I always love the love stories. How they happen.
And do you know what? It sounds really sort of. It might sound a bit naff or a bit cliche, but do you know what? It's like when the love bug catches hold of you, it really does.
You just know, right?
Yeah, you just know. And we were engaged like within like 10 days.
Oh my God!
And that's when the Black Diamonds came on the scene. And at that same time, I'm thinking.
So did he know that you liked black diamonds, and so he? Just
I'd never heard of them, if I'm honest. I'd never really heard of them.
Right. Okay.
I'd seen
so
some
he
black
just
sapphires.
proposed to you with a black diamond?
Yes.
How
So basically,
cool
and
is
he said,
that?
I just thought it was a bit different. He said, and you're unique, you're quite quirky, and I wanted to get something.
And your label was noir, which is black.
Exactly.
In French.
And I'm a coal miner's daughter.
And you're a coal miner's daughter, and you look like Morticia. Amazing.
Exactly. Perfect fit.
Right.
So that sort of started the fascination with black diamonds, and I knew by that point that I needed to do something to stand out in my own right. And I also knew that I wasn't going to take the investment because you can't have to juggle that sort of politics that was obviously going to be there and also have a dream guy on the scene. It's not really going to work. Right. It's going to be too much. So basically, I said no to the investment.
Yes
moved back
to the
UK. Yes to the husband, and ready-made family. Had 2 daughters already, and they were still quite young.
Okay.
So it
nice.
Was So
you just
I became
popped into the mom role.
I did. Well, yeah, that was a bit different. So I took a short sabbatical from fashion, and tried to sort of get my head around it. I was never
ease into your new life, which is sort of just an evolution of your life. Right.
Which is quite funny because for me, I'd never really been. Obviously, how I used to go to sort of networking parties all the time. We have the little piggly nibbles, and how was a glass of champagne? That was my diet. Anyone that works in fashion or sort of that industry, that is your diet.
Right. You're nibbling off the plate and have some champagne.
Exactly.
Right.
I wasn't much of a cook, shall we say? Although I do go into cakes down the line, and I've always had a fascination with cakes, but by that point, I couldn't make one.
Right.
I would burn water, let alone cook.
You have the black diamond dress. Okay, so then you wanted to do something to showcase Debbie Wingham.
That's right. So basically, I came up with this idea. I said, you know what? I said to my husband, I said, well, actually, it was my husband. It was my husband at the time, because we got married so quickly.
Sure.
So we're married by this point. And I said to him, you know what? I'm going to make the world's most expensive black diamond dress. And he's like, really? He's like, how are you going to do that? It's like, where'd you get the diamonds from? How much is it going to be worth? And he like bombarded me with loads of questions. Like, I don't know any of that yet. I said, but I will find you the answers. I said, I'm working on it. And he didn't say, don't do it. He just looked at me as if to say, how's she going to pull that one off? But Mr. Wingham knows that.
Well, he knows now Debbie gets stuff done.
Yeah, exactly. I get stuff done. I'm not a gunner. I'm going to do this tomorrow. I'm going to do that next day.
Yeah.
If you want to do something, guys, just go and do it, because you know what? No one's going to do it for you. So if you really believe in it and you really want to do it, you can do anything. I mean, quite literally.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I couldn't agree. And I literally started with this dress, came up with a design.
So then did you get the diamonds loaned to you? Is that how it works?
Yeah, well actually I went to see quite a couple of different jewellers and I said, look, this is what I'm proposing. Right. And quite a few of them actually liked the idea. I wasn't sure if people would just look at it
well received or not, right?
Yeah, and a lot of them liked the idea, but the problem was with black diamonds that to get one that's got a really good clarity, like proper black, not greyish, not greenish.
Right, I mean,
and they had to be similar sizes because otherwise, aesthetically, it wouldn't have looked very good.
Right.
So it took me a minute.
So these, in the real version of the dress, were really black diamonds. What's the value of one of these? Roughly?
Do you know, it's been such a long time now since I created
What was the value? The value of this dress?
The overall dress. The overall.
This one was 10
well, obviously
million?
when it's got the dress in it. No,
right.
it was
5.
It was above 5. I think it was 5.3 in US dollars because I'm working in sterling.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was 5.3 at the time. Yeah.
$5.3 million.
So that was that. But actually, you know, what was interesting is by the time I got the jeweler to actually have the stones and created the piece, which I won't go into how long that took, like forever and a day. It was a good year's worth of work to get it done. And then obviously you get this dress, you've got it all organised. Where are you going to show it? How does that work? I don't know. No one's ever there's no manual for how to launch the world's most expensive dress. There isn't. Actually, there is.
Well, there is.
I did it. But that's only because, literally, I have 1,000,001 emails of people asking me, like, how did you get into it? How did you do it? And people all the time asking me if I can advise them and help them. And I always tell them, one day I'll write a book. I just didn't think that day would be quite yet.
So soon.
So I had to put it in here. So this literally is my biography of my life. But the back end of the book, the very last chapters, so that people can choose to read it if it's of interest to them or not. It gives a breakdown of, you know, how.
Right. Yeah. But I think, you know, one of the things that I love about your story, and this is a conversation I had with a girlfriend of mine over the summer, because she has an idea, and shout out to her because she'll probably know who she is. She has this idea, she's kind of a sports person, and she has this idea of a big sports type of, she wants to revolutionize the way some things are being done in basketball and volleyball. And, you know, she's going, but I don't know how I'm going to do it. And I said, but that's the point. Yeah. Release the how, you know, release the how. Yeah. You don't have to know how, you have to know what. you want to get done.
And you can figure it out.
And then, you'll figure it out.
You know, my thing that, is a bit with determination is I think if you break things down into categories, just like little projects, eventually they jigsaw together to be the whole picture. So if you keep saying, like, oh, I'm only going to just do that, how do I just jump to there? Well, you don't. That's the answer. You do it in gradual stages, because then you can give a beautiful tick next to that, and you're getting one step closer. And if you break things down into little projects, then you're far more likely to succeed. That's what I think. Because otherwise, if you just sat there thinking, how do I do it, how do I do it, how do I do it, well, you're probably never going to do it.
Overwhelming, right.
You just got to try and piece it together. Anyway, by hook or by crook again, because I'm a bit of a, now I'm a Wingham, so I can actually say that I literally wing it. And back then, and I wasn't always a Wingham, but I was always pretty good at winging it. And as you can tell, I never shut up, so I'm kind of a good negotiator. They're my few skills. I'm dyslexic, so I'm very creative, and I'm good with my hands.
And you're a good speaker, right?
Yeah. And I can chat.
And you're also a mom of your own daughter, because you did have a third daughter, right?
That's right. Yes. Scarlett. So I've got 3 daughters, lots of dresses, and many cakes. And my poor husband is overrun by all this girliness. Bless him. But he does get to eat lots of nice cake.
Talk to me about the transition. So the $5 million, you also created a $17 million dress.
Yep, 17.
Which was a red. What was that one? That one had a red diamond?
That was a red diamond. And you know how I came about doing that? To be honest, I didn't realize, I don't think, how much this piece is here that you're wearing, obviously with the whole dress as well, would change my life, because that was insane. I never prepared for it.
Okay. Now that really changed your life.
It did.
It did.
5 years ago. That was 5 years ago as well. Now this is actually a whole anniversary show.
Right. I love it. Right. Yeah. 9 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah. So
how has your life changed?
Well, I mean,
you've
literally
just been catapulted into that world of luxury.
Yeah. I mean, literally, it just made the dress made it on everything. I mean, every time I turned the TV on, I was traveling. I mean, I showcased the piece in Dubai, in Russia, the Ukraine. And I launched it officially in Monte Carlo.
I'm gonna on what I'm gonna do, because we can't superimpose on this show, it's live. But when I repost this on Facebook, I'll get a few photos of the actual dress up so people can see it. It's beautiful.
Exactly. But she is doing a good job modeling this bit.
No, but I'm not as chic as the some of the models that have worn.
No,
this
you
dress.
would have been if you had the whole dress on. It would be fabulous on you. You would have been. Of course you would. Don't undersell yourself, girl. So literally life changing. We went on Access Hollywood, E News, ABC, very good, made it on Fashion Police, it made it on everything, basically. BBC in the UK, it made it on the front news of the paper the front page of the newspaper in countries as far as Australia. It just went, went where water couldn't get.
I was going to say, and then you have since been commissioned, because now you have established yourself as a brand that can deliver at this level, and you do. And you've got some really amazing projects in the works. How do you transition from dresses to cakes? Because you admitted you're not a cook, you're not a chef, you're not a baker.
No.
And yet you design, she designs $50 million couture cakes. It's crazy.
I mean, the thing is about my life is, when I did the black diamond dress, after I'd done the red diamond abaya, which I did a year after I did this.
The red diamond
abaya. For it's like a traditional Emirati sort of dress.
Okay. I'll put a photo of that up as well.
And this piece,
that's the $17 million
That was a funny piece, because I literally arrived in Dubai showcasing this. And one of my clients in the UK called me. She went, "Darling, I see you're on the BBC News." I was like, "Well, actually, I might be, but I'm in Dubai at the moment." And she said, "You could have made that dress a little bit more fabulous." And I thought, "Oh, here we go." I'm like, "Of course I could," because art is always a matter of opinion, and not everyone will like things. And she says, "No, I love the style." She said, "But you needed a red diamond on there, girl." I'm like, "But where do I get myself one of those?" I was like, "Do you know how hard it was getting the black diamonds? And the red diamonds are ultra rare." And she said, "Oh, I have a portfolio of stones." She said, "Come on now, give me a break, as if you didn't know that." And she said, "It'll only cost you dresses for a lifetime if you want to borrow it." And then that was the problem then, because you know what my head's like, don't you? When I get something in there.
Oh, yeah. So now you're on a mission for a red diamond.
So and then I saw the Arabian ladies who are very elegant and graceful, and they very much like my sort of adornment work, the fine beading and everything. It's unique and it's sort of heavy, and obviously you guys can't benefit from knowing about the weight and things, but it's substantial.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And they really liked it, so I thought you just merge the two and make the red diamond abaya. So I'm doing all the media for this on the radio, obviously not with someone quite as fabulous as you, my love, you'll be glad to know, but on the TV, whatever, I was everywhere doing all this, and all in my head I'm thinking red diamond abaya, drawing it, coming up with a concept, doing everything, and by the time I got back to England, I knew exactly what it was going to look like, and I started making it, and it was much easier to do than this, because I knew how to do it now.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
But the weird thing is, so everyone now then started asking me like, oh, you've done it twice. This is a running theme. Are we seeing another World's Most Expensive? And I was like, nah. I said, I'm
done with the
now.
most expensive stuff.
Exactly.
Right.
I'll let someone else do it now.
Okay.
Move over, Debbie Wingham. Let someone else do it.
Quick question for you before we move to the cakes. These dresses were they made as art pieces to showcase? Were they deconstructed again and given the pieces given back? Were they bought by someone? What happened to the dresses?
Yeah, the Black Diamond dress obviously was a media platform. The idea was to get me international recognition.
Right.
And the abaya was the same thing. They weren't commissioned by anyone.
And what's that word you keep saying? Abaya?
Abaya.
Yeah. Spell that.
It's A-B-A-Y-A.
That's the name of the dress?
An abaya is like a traditional Arabian attire.
We just talked about this,
yeah.
Yes.
So basically,
the abaya, yes.
That was that. And so these were just platforms for recognition.
Yeah.
The abaya I only showcased in the UAE,
yeah.
and this brings me on to actually the world's most expensive cake. By this point, I'd been in mummy mode for a while, and I got into this guy. You guys know him. He's American. He's amazing. Buddy Velastro. We know Mr. Cake Boss. They call me Buddy. I'm the boss.
Cake
that
boss.
guy.
Okay, so you're watching him on TV?
Yeah, constantly with the kids, constantly watching him. And by this point, I started getting good at cooking because it turns out, it's what I said earlier, if you're interested in something, you're halfway there. The point is, the reason why I couldn't cook before is because I wasn't interested in it.
You didn't have kids. You didn't have anyone to feed. You were drinking champagne and eating little croissants.
Exactly. And sewing.
Right.
I was like Cinderella.
Right.
Sewing, doing all that sort of stuff. And then got into all that. Started watching Buddy Velastro and Ace of Cakes and many other fabulous American cake artists.
Sure.
And my girls were like, Mum, you can do that. I'm like, yeah, I'm not really sure, but we'll have a go though.
Of course you will.
So we bought some cake kits, and I remember my husband bought me and the girls loads of things. And before we know it, it became a very big love affair, and we had an enormous cake room in our house that we used to keep the door closed like our dirty little secret. So if any clients came round, they never knew about it, because I didn't really feel that I was at the point where I didn't make professional cakes, but I did make cakes for random reasons. Like if it was,
like birthdays.
Oh no, I mean weirder.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously birthday,
Okay.
but I mean like I would have almost stopped a random person on the street to give them a cake just so I could have made the cake. Do you know what I mean? It was getting to like an obsessive,
you were like obsessed
compulsive
with cakes. Okay.
Yeah, and you know what? Kids love
So
that
funny.
because it's fun and it's messy
And it was
it's
probably
sticky
fun
and it's
for the
tasty.
kids, right? You could play together.
Yeah,
you can incorporate the
exactly.
girls into that.
So we loved that. And then I got my first ever cake commission. My cake commissions, most people do like a 8-inch round with a character on top.
Okay.
Mine wasn't. Mine was a 6-foot with smoke machine, lighting, and 2 weeks before delivery, in fact 2.5 weeks before delivery, I had a phone call from my client.
Okay.
It was a client that I'd met in the UAE when I'd done the Red Diamond Abaya.
Okay.
And they'd commissioned some gowns,
Okay.
and they were just collecting
Were
them.
they having an event? Is that why they wanted the cake?
Yeah, I'll get to that in a sec.
Okay.
But what happened is they slyly saw I'd not closed the door, or one of the kids had left it open, and I'd just gone to the loo or something, and she'd made a beeline straight in there
Into the room.
Yeah, into the naughty cake room where no one's supposed to see, because it's not really. It's like a passion.
Right.
It's like
It's a hobby.
It's a fabulous,
Right.
delicious hobby, you
Yeah.
know, and nothing more. And she went, Debbie, this is what I need, and I'm like, do you? What do you need? She's like, but she says, I need a fabulous cake. And it's something really different though. I don't want it to be sort of like traditional and going up. I want like the equivalent of your dresses, but in cake. And I was like, okay. I was like, but I don't really make professional cakes though. I was like, I just make it for like family, friends, and random strangers on the street, and just anything. Just anything so I can make a cake. Because everyone loves cake.
Right.
I love the cake. So literally, I got this crazy commission, and I said to her, I don't really do it. She said, every time I come round, you've got delicious nibbles, you make these lovely little pastries. She said, they taste good, I can see they look good,
Dive
you've got a
into the
room of
cake,
them.
right.
So she's like, merge them both, you do make them. So I was like, okay, I think I make cakes by this point. And so that was it. I started making this cake. I proposed to her, I said, look, let's do something. If it's going to be my first cake, it's got to be something I love. So I said, let's make it fashiony.
Okay.
And I said, why don't
fashion cake.
Yeah. So why don't I incorporate the outfits that I'd made for? Is for basically the lady was an actual confidant of the family, but for this particular daughter, the dresses were for. Okay. And it was for her.
Okay.
And I said to him, why don't we put the
This
little
is
models
in
on the
Dubai
catwalk?
Now. Right.
Actually, a little edible
that's
versions
so
of her
funny.
outfit.
So you basically created a fashion show on a cake. And had someone buy
and
it.
We had, and we had like little show running orders, little goodie bags, all the personalities of like the really chic Italians.
I was going to say anything that would take place at an event like that.
Yeah, lighting, smoke machine, but no diamonds at this point. Had a phone call 2.5 weeks before the cake was due, And they said, "Oh, Debs, you're the diamond girl. You can do this, can't you?" I'm like, "I don't know. What is the question? What am I doing again?" This is the girl that doesn't make professional cakes already. That is now making one. So now what am I doing?
Diamonds. Right.
And she said, "We can put a few diamonds on there." And I said, "Well, it depends, because if they're like a whole constructed necklace or something, then no, because everything is delicate and it wouldn't be to scale." They're like, "No, right now they're loose stones. Can we put them on there?" And I said, "I could probably figure it out." But by this point, I'm thinking they're going to be like 3 or 4 really good clarity, beautiful stones, maybe £1 million worth. I know I make it sound like nothing. You know, you know, if I inherit something, I get like my granny's sort of cameo brooch. But these people are a whole different.
The $1 million stone. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, literally. They told me.
How many dollar value worth of diamonds did you put on this cake?
We had above $50 million. And the jeweler called me and they said, "Debbie, are you sitting down?" I said, "No. Why do I need to be? It's just calling about stones putting on cake." Getting really worried again. And yeah, he reeled off this list longer than me. And bear in mind how tall I am. Me in heels.
And the list was saying what? All the people that were giving you diamonds to put on
No. It was all from the family's portfolio. But a lot of them started off, and I knew they were very expensive, because I'm not a gemologist, but I'm quite knowledgeable about diamonds on the basis that
you have become knowledgeable.
I've been interviewed around the world with the worst jet lag ever, so you better believe you need to do your homework and know. And I was like, okay, so how much is that little lot cost? And they said, "Oh, it's in sterling. It was 48.5 million." And I was like, "How much?"
Wow.
I was like, "Could you say that in my good ear?" So that was that. And then that cake was made, and then all of a sudden I was promoted to a cake expert, which was insane.
And then you got a TV show. Talk to me about your TV show.
Yeah, I'm working on a TV show that combines fashion and cake. And since then I've made cakes for like Drake, Justin Bieber, Downton Abbey. You guys know Downton Abbey,
of course.
Right?
We love Downton Abbey.
X Factor and Fox Network. I do quite a lot for them.
So fun.
And recently I was here and I made a cake that revealed $1 million watch for a fabulous Beverly Hills client. And so yeah, I'm getting a bit Willy Wonka out there. I like to do things a bit different. And I just love American style and how they really embrace cake. So you can tell I'm passionate about cake, can you? Can you feel the cakiness from here?
You know what I want you to do is I want you to share a little bit of 1 minute for the viewers on how they can kind of tap into what you seem to have tapped into.
Okay.
How do you find your passion? How do you believe in self?
I think that regardless of whatever industry you're in, if you really are determined, if you're passionate about something, and you're committed to it, then you can do whatever you want. But I just think it goes back to what I was saying before, that I think if you break things down into small steps, then you will achieve your full goals. Yes. Just don't try and jump from one end to the other. Just think about how you fill in the middle bits, and then it will all come together. But don't say, "Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that." And you know what? I've been there. Listen, the nasty days, it's in here. The nasty days where people really pull the rug underneath you. We all have those days. It doesn't matter what you're trying to be, a singer, dancer, actress, a lawyer, whatever you want to be, you can be, but you will have a bad day. But use that bad day as incentive to push yourself forward, because then you can achieve. And don't get me wrong, I don't see myself as someone that's done with everything by any means. I've got a lot more to achieve. I'm here. I've still got to go there.
No, I know. And that's the beauty of it. Debbie Wingham, from cold dust to diamonds.
Yes.
Also, jump onto her Instagram page, Debbie Wingham, because
it's Debbie _ Wingham.
Debbie _ Wingham, and it's couture to cakes, I think, as well, something like that. Because she also has a new line of clothing that she has developed that features cakes in couture styling. It's just, there's so much coming down the pipe from Debbie. I am so glad that our paths crossed. We actually met through a mutual friend a few months ago.
Yes, we did.
Probably 4 or 5 months ago, maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah, not that long ago at all.
Not too long ago. And when I heard you were going to be back in Los Angeles, I thought, we are getting her on the show.
Oh, thank you.
We were collaborating on a project, so stay tuned for, more things that may be coming down the pipe. But Debbie Wingham, fashion mogul, really.
Well, I don't know if I'd go that far, but thank you. It sounds nice. I'll accept the title for now. I'll accept it, but I don't think I am, though. I've still got much more to achieve.
And we all do. Next week, if you have a lot more to achieve, we are going to be joined by Regan Hillier. Regan is probably the top life coach that is going to teach us how to manifest what we want. You want more money? You're going to want to tune in next week, because she's going to show us how to manifest everything you want: love, money, relationship, and career growth. I'm Katerina. We are way out of time. Thank you so much, Debbie,
Thank you for
being
having
here.
me. And I love LA, and I'm so glad to be here.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye.
You're listening to LA40 with Katerina Cozias, only on LA Talk Radio.